Welcome back to the Kiwi Hooper podcast. To kick off a new NCAA season, we have a very special guest. Could you please introduce yourself and also summarize to the audience how did you get to where you are in less than 1 minute?
My name is Olivia Williams. I am a father of two girls. My wife is actually a Kiwi. So both my girls have dual citizenship, whereas my youngest plays at UC Irvine. She's also played for New Zealand, under 15s, 17s, and 19s. She's currently a junior at Irvine, but she is redshirting this year.
Yourself have a lot of history with basketball as well, and your father was playing in the NBA. Am I safe to assume that he was the first one that handed you the basketball?
Yes, you are. I was born in San Francisco because my dad was drafted by the Warriors. So in the 1969 draft, he was the number 8 pick out of West Virginia. It's interesting because a lot of people didn't know. So with that being said, my basketball journey, I still progress as I was supposed to. And obviously, when the word got out that hey, he's the son of a former player, some people look at you differently. But where we live, I grew up with a lot of former players' kids, right? And not just basketball. There's baseball and there's football. So where I grew up. So it's interesting. It doesn't mean you're going to play in the NBA because I did not. I wanted to, but I had my limitations. I wasn't, I didn't have a 40-inch vertical, but I could do the other things. And a lot of times it's opportunity, but I still think I had a great career. I love where I got to play. I played Division I. I got to travel the world. I met my wife. I got to live in New Zealand and try to pursue it there. It didn't work out to the best of my ability, but it's taken me a lot of places.
Also, can you tell me what is the pros and cons of having a father who plays in the NBA?
Some of the pros are you see things from a different light. So, having gone to games since I was born, I like to look at the game not just in a silo, but I look at the game. So I think that helped me growing up. Like, hey, I understood how to read and see the next play. It helped that my dad was a point guard, right? And it helped that I'm a guard. Obviously I'm taller, but those are some of the pros. And then as I get older, when you're trying to excel in AAU and in high school and get to college, you get labeled sometimes as a coach's kid. That's not a bad thing because what that really means is you understand a lot of things that don't have to be taught. Like I understand how to play defense, where to be, what pass to make, how to be shot ready. The cons are everyone assumes you're going to go to the NBA, right? So it's tough. I have friends and teammates that I've played with and against that have played in the NBA, but the pros are great because I just see the game at a different level. Even the fact that it's a professional game, it's still the same game. So pros, college, high school, you still pass, shoot, defend, dribble. It's just as the level goes up, the you can say the athleticism, but the IQ goes up as well. I've gone back to high school, so I'm a high school coach, and I try to tell my guys, the game is the same at all three levels. You just have to relax and see what's in front of you. You don't have to do too much because the defense is going to tell you what you can do. And I think when you're younger, the game is going 100 miles an hour, right? And you're trying to take it all in and you're trying to react. And then as you get older, you go to college, the game kind of changes. And then after, I think what's funny is after I finished college and I was playing in men's leagues and I was trying to say, do I want to go play overseas or whatnot? It all slowed down. And then it's like, wow, you see the game in frames, like frame, frame, frame. Whereas when you're younger, you just see it like this. I mean, it's just going 100 miles an hour. And then it's like, I have the aha moment, and you realize I was going so fast for so long, I didn't have to. And I think that's the understanding you get because you don't have to be a Division I player to have that happen. It's just that over time, you're going to see it change. And a lot of people, if you ask that played in college, regardless of the level, they're going to say, yeah, the game slowed down. And once it slows down, you figure it out. Now, some people figure it out at an early age. And you can tell, like, for example, Magic Johnson. I'm an old guy, so I'm going to say Magic Johnson, right? He figured out, it had nothing to do about him being 6'9", but he had vision to anticipate you were where you were going to be, and he would put the ball there. He obviously had that at a young age. And as he moved up, it just became the wow moment, like, wow, he could see this, that, and the other. He had been seeing that when he was in high school. It didn't like happen all of a sudden. Then you can look at guys like obviously the Michael Jordans. You look at the Kevin Durant's, the Steph Curry's. To me, basketball, it's evolution. But the guys you see now, we've seen before. And I always tell people, like, right now, to me, Kevin Durant is unguardable. He's a 7-foot guard, right? But we've seen Kevin Durant before. His name is George Gervin, who was a 6'9" guard, same body type. It's evolution. I mean, before Mike, and I'm kind of biased because my dad played with Oscar Robertson. Oscar Robertson averaged a triple double for multiple seasons. And before Oscar, there was somebody, but Mike is just in line, his own little spin, but the next version. Obviously, the closest version we have to Mike, rest in peace, is Kobe, right? He was the next version, right? But there's always another, and now we're looking at Victor Wembanyama, 7'4". But remember what I said about Kevin Durant? Wembanyama is kind of the same thing, 7'4" and 19. It's progress, and no one is the actual original. You're kind of an offshoot of somebody else that's before you. And I think that's a blessing because you're taking the game and you're adding your piece to it. Obviously, we'll look at Steph Curry. His thing, he can shoot the ball. Now, on one hand, all the little kids are seeing Steph shoot from 28 feet. I could do that. No, 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 no. You understand the hours he has put in the gym for that, right? But there's going to be another Steph-like player. And we're probably seeing him in college right now. He's just not fully baked yet, but he is coming.
Like when Michael Jordan comes to play basketball, everyone want to be like Mike, but not anyone can do what Mike does. Mike makes us want to play basketball because what he does on the court, like those high-flying dunks, those good defensive skills. But Steph Curry does a lot of things that, for the kids these days, look at him as like, I can do that too. I can shoot three too.
He's realistic. When you look at Steph, you think, I could possibly do that. He's not the biggest guy. He's not the fastest guy, but you do have to understand he has put hours in the gym to do what he's doing now. What you see?
Absolutely. What was the biggest lesson that you learned as a college athlete?
Stay ready. So, in high school, I had a pretty good high school career, right? And then when it came down to schools, I was looking at, do I want to stay in California? Do I want to leave? Okay. I happened to go to school in New York. I went to Iona College, right? So imagine being a big fish in the pond where you live, right here in the Bay Area. That was pretty good. They go into a whole new pond, and everybody there actually has done more, if not the same. And so you have to figure out, how do I get on the court? Now, lucky for me, being a coach's kid, I knew how to play, right? I knew how to do the little things that sometimes people are like, they're not glamorous, but I knew how to get in the defensive stance. I knew how to play D. I knew how to talk. I knew how to stay ready. I think with college, you don't know when your opportunity is going to come, right? And I can say honestly, like my freshman year of college, my very first game was the Alaska Shootout, and we're playing Kentucky. And I'm like, man, I'm like, this is crazy. This is when Sean Kemp just left school. They had the Chris Mills incident. I was nervous, but I remember getting in the game and then I scored, and I was like, I could do this, right? Just like my sophomore year, we're playing in our tournament, and I didn't get in the first half, right? So I'm whatever. I'm ready. And then our guy, who's my friend today, who ends up playing in the NBA, he gets subbed out. I go in. I go 7 for 7 in 10 minutes. Right? And then we win the game. And then the very next game, I go like 7 for 8. And I end up making the all tourney team. People are like, who is this guy? Well, he's been there. It's just an opportunity. So you have to stay ready. And that's the biggest thing. Stay ready because you're going to get an opportunity, right? And you just have to be able to seize the moment. That's the biggest thing is stay ready.
You know, one person I can kind of relate to your case is Jeremy Lin, your neighbor kind of thing.
Yes,
He
basically. Yeah.
he's exactly what you said, right? Like he's got the
Mhm.
skills. He's always had the skill. He's been putting in the hours. It's just that he just need that one opportunity comes where everybody else is injured, and then people look
Exactly.
at this Asian guy that sat on the bench. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
well, we don't really have much choice. You on, and that's
Right.
when he took that opportunity and shine, and now he's a megastar.
I mean, you see it everywhere, and it happens in every sport. And where I live here in San Francisco, obviously we've all heard of Tom Brady, right? But do people realize he didn't get any playing time at Michigan, right? He was on the Patriots. He wasn't going to get any playing time. Bledsoe got hurt. End of story. That's it. He comes in, and now you're like 7 rings. I mean, you're like, and there you go. It's opportunity. That's what it is.
Yeah, now he become the goat of the football.
Right. You're like, right. So you never know when your moment's going to happen. My advice to kids is just keep preparing and just stay ready.
Takes a lot of patience for sure.
It's going to test you, right? But just stay ready.
Well, while you're talking about kids, obviously you're a high school coach now. What is your coaching philosophy?
It's real simple. I have some, it's funny. I tell my guys this, I go, I have some non-negotiables. I'm not going to ask you to play hard. I'm not going to ask you to give me energy or effort. That's like, it's going to happen. Right. And I don't expect players to do too much. Right. I say, I'm never going to talk about scoring the ball. I'm going to talk about defending the ball. If you do those things, it can lead to opportunities. You may get a layup, you may get a breakout, you may get a steal that starts something. I think with high school here in the US, um, it's massive. Here, I mean, in California, it's massive, right? In the US, it's massive. And I don't know if people truly understand outside of the US what goes on here, what commitment is. Like in December, there's no vacation for you. You may get the 24th and the 25th, maybe the 26th off, but you're practicing the 20th because you're playing. And that's just, if I could reiterate that to anyone, maybe a New Zealander is going to see this. Understand what we do here is not the same as what you do in New Zealand. It's not, right? And because we grow up in this environment, I mean, you live here, you see it. I mean, we have power high schools. I mean, power high schools. My daughter went to one of them, which is Archbishop Mitty, which is like a power high. We're not talking, yeah, full night sponsor, all that, but it's a power high school, boys and girls. One of the guys you'll know about, Aaron Gordon. You don't got to say anything else, right? Um, but it's high school here is just it's special because it's you can make a name for yourself and you can end up being recruited. But on the same side, I try to tell my guys stay in the moment, just be yourself, and you can't rely on just practice. You have to do work outside of the gym. So that's unseen hours, right? Where you're at the park, you're working on a couple things, and then you bring that into practice, which makes you a better player. So that's kind of my philosophy on it.
So, how long have you been coaching high school now?
I think this is my 16th year. So I took a break. So I used to coach at a private school in San Francisco, and I've always coached my daughter. And so we had went to back state titles. We lost, and we were trying to make a three-peat. So we lost in the NorCal final. She was in the 7th grade. I had decided I was going to step away from high school because I wanted to make sure she was ready for high school. And I did want to coach. I wanted to be in the far corner and just sit in the stands, right? And people were like, "Are you crazy? He walked away." And I was like, "Yeah, but you know why I walked away, right?" And so when my daughter went to high school, like I said, she went to Archbishop Mitty, powerhouse. Her sophomore year, number one player in the nation is her teammate, right? They end up, she had a great high school career. It turns into a scholarship, right? On her team, her senior year, of the 7 seniors, 6 went to Division 1, right? 2 are her teammates in college. So, it's one of those things. But besides helping kids go to college, I've always done this, right? And I kind of do it in the background. People don't know what goes on, what I do. I've helped a kid go to college who actually goes to UC Irvine, where my daughter's at. I helped the kid come here for high school, right? And people don't necessarily know. Some appreciate it, some don't. But I'm back in high school again, and I love it. My daughter gave me the blessing to do it again. Because I think I'm a teacher at heart, but I also want to help the kid that may have potential, help find his way. Not every player is going to go Division 1 or Division 2. You may go Division 3. But if I can assist in helping you reach your goal, if your goal is to play in college, right? Your parents want you to go to school and you want to play ball. And if you can do both, aren't you going to be a happier kid? You're like, man, I get to live out my dream. I recently have a kid on our team now. He just got his call. He got his financial aid package. He is excited. He knows he has a home next year when he graduates this year. So I do like high school. I think I was made for it. I did a year of college. Um, Coaching in college is different than coaching in high school, and it was the D2 level, but I'm a teacher at heart. I've done AU for just as many years as I've coached high school basketball, if not more. And I've coached boys and girls. I was lucky enough when I started doing AAU, I did girls, and I had a very good team. And I had a player at the time. She was a freshman, and I knew she was going to be good. And at that time, I was coaching at her high school in the city, a small private school. Well, this same player turned out to be top 5 California. She ended up going to Cal. She ended up transferring to San Diego State. She ends up in the WNBA, right? And to this day, we have a great connection. She kind of mentors my daughter on a lot of things. And it's no one probably thought that she would end up there, but she's a success story. And those are the kind of people I like to align myself with. You don't all have to go Division 1 and play pro. I have kids that I help play Division 3, and they come there and say, "Coach, I had an awesome experience." And at the end of the day, I think that's what I like to do. I try to help kids reach their goal.
How do you balance between a coach and a parent?
Oh, that's fun. So there's Coach Eric and there's Dad. There have been some car rides home where it's been quiet. I was told this a long time ago. For every 5 negatives, you got to have 5 positives, and you can make it 3 and 3, right? So you got to understand that at a young age, Olivia was a little taller. I always knew she was going to be a certain thing. So I, at a young age, made sure she did a lot of the guard things. I'm like, because you're going to be a guard. I can't help it if you're taller than them. That's not my problem, right? And so I think with her, I took the baby steps. So we're talking age 4. She's in like a pee wee league. She's scared out of her mind, right? I said, just do sprints. I don't care about touching the ball. Age 5, let's just take one dribble. Age 6, it was, let's take a shot, right? We're not worried about how ugly it looks. We'll fix that, right? So I took those steps with her. And then as she got older, she got bigger, she got better, she got stronger, and she became multidimensional. And even to this day, when she comes home, we still get in the gym like a given, right? She still gets her workout with Dad. And it's one of those things you got to balance, you know, I remember times where I got to sit in the stands. That's why I stopped coaching high school. And I just got to sit and watch. I don't sit by parents. Even in college now, when I go to Irvine, I sit in a corner. I don't even sit by my wife. I just want to watch. I want to watch and see you for all the work that you put in. right? And that's the joy I get. But there is a balance, and you know this as a parent, you have to balance the good and the bad. You have to bring them up, but you also have to tell them what you did wrong. But here's how we fix it. And I think as long as you have that balance, because remember, my wife, I love her to death. I have a Kiwi wife, right? She allows me to do it. She knows I love basketball. She's like, I know you love it. I walk in, I'm sore. She's like, yeah, but you love it. I don't want to hear it. You love it. You didn't love it. You wouldn't be doing it. So, when I go do a training at 7 in the morning on a Sunday, she's like, hey, you're complaining, but you're still getting up at 6 and you're still going. So, it's one of those things. But my advice to any parent that coaches their child, especially at a young age, don't try to ramp them up all at once. Just take the baby steps and enjoy that little process, because you're going to, at the end, you're going to be like, man, and they're going to thank you later. Like I always tell Olivia, yeah, I'm your biggest fan. But in reality, I'm not her biggest fan. Her biggest fan is herself. And I always tell yourself, you can talk to yourself on the court. You can pump yourself up on the court. Someone might think you're crazy if you're talking to yourself, but you're your biggest fan. And that's just kind of the way I did it with her.
Has anybody from New Zealand, like any parents from New Zealand, reach out to you and ask you for help?
I was actually involved with somebody, and we helped a young man, and this young man goes to Irvine, right? And it was interesting because the wife his mom was talking to my wife in this chat because they know Olivia. She plays for New Zealand, and they know she was going to school. So these moms are asking my wife questions. She didn't know who it was. And the person I used to work with, helping this one player, and I was doing my thing. And then somehow, some way, I had to talk to his mom. And we're talking. She's like, yeah, I'm talking to someone here in San Francisco, and they have a daughter named Olivia. And I kind of pause. I'm like, wait a minute, Olivia? That's my daughter. Right? So she's great. He's having a great time at Irvine. I just spoke to him 2 days ago. He's going through a little injury, but he's okay. I have connections in New Zealand still. Obviously, when you were talking at St. Mary's, I mentioned the one connection, Byron, aka BV. Everybody knows BV somehow, some way, right? And it's just, I do have people that I can reach out to, and ask them about kids, and it's male or female. And in Byron's case, Byron knows I understand the process. Not that Byron wasn't born here, because he was. I'm here. I can tell you how to get recruited, what it takes to be recruited, what you should be looking at when you're getting recruited, and how to go about it. So if I understand the process, so if a parent wanted to ask me, I could, and I've had a couple, and I said, this is what you need, and this is what is going to happen. Now, there are some kids from New Zealand who have been recruited right off the way to Division 1. I've noticed a lot of girls. Yes, I'm kind of partial to the girls because of my daughter, but I've seen guys who go straight Division 1. Now, those guys were seen, right? The guy that I like to work with, or the girl, is the one that's not seen, right? That needs guidance, a push, some help, whether it's placing you in a high school and getting you there, or it's getting your information to coaches. Because I know what they want. Remember, an international student has to have certain things. So before I even go to a coach, I have to have those things. So that when I do make that communication, I'm giving you literally the layout. I'm giving you this, and I'm giving you the footage. Now it's up to them to go forward, right? Now you got to remember, for an international student, it costs more. You could be on a Division 1 scholarship here, but understand there's an international cost. So they're not just going to give you a scholarship because, hey, we have kids here. We don't have to go overseas to get kids, but schools do. But I don't think it's a hard process. I think it's a process. If you have somebody that understands it, that's like an ace card in your pocket, because they're gonna help you. And remember, I don't do this for money. I've never asked anybody for money for what I've done, and that's just why that's what I like to do. But if you have the skill and you have what I need, I can help any kid. That part is not hard. I mean, we may not all go to Duke. We may not all go to North Carolina. Would you go to school in Iowa if they're going to give you this? Well, okay. I mean, that's up to you. I'm getting you the opportunity because at the end of the day, you just want an opportunity, right? And that's kind of what I say. I don't make a promise. I'm saying if we get you this and you get there, at that point, it's on you. But then that's what you want. You want to bet on yourself.
That's perfect. So if any parents from New Zealand would like to reach out to you, what are some of the best way to reach out to you?
They can email me. I know you have my email. If they want to ask me a question on Instagram, you have my Instagram. I have no problem helping and answering the question.
Right, let's switch our gear a little bit. We're gonna ask a few fun questions. Pick any 5 hoopers to assemble a team to play in a winner-takes-all 5-on-5 $1 million basketball tournament, and you're the coach. And which 5 player would you pick?
At the 5, I may have to go with Wilt Chamberlain. At the 4, I may have to go with. Ooh, this is tough. This is gonna be a tough one. I like Tim Duncan. I don't know why I like Tim Duncan. At the 3, now I'm biased. I have to go with LeBron. At the 2, it's going to be a hybrid. It's Michael and Kobe, right? At the 1, I'm going to go with Magic Johnson.
Coach, you're very greedy. You took 2, the best 2s.
I know. So I'll say Michael. So I'll say Michael. My guys are the older guys.
Yeah.
I like younger guys too. I mean, I can have a second team, which is not a problem, but that'll probably be the 5 I would take.
That's amazing. First, you got Wilt Chamberlain, the most dominant big guy in the history of the game. And then you got the Mr. Fundamental, and you got pretty much, unstoppable.
The unicorn.
Exactly. And, the Mr. Longevity and the Mr. 39 still doing the heavy load. And then you got the best 2s. And then, 1s, it just, that team's, it's going to be very hard to beat. I'll be surprised if they don't win at all.
But I will say this, though. About that 5. As you can see, anybody can get beat. I mean, so it's, the U.S. gets beat. So anybody can get beat. So it doesn't really matter.
My next question, it's going to be a little bit personal. Hope you don't mind. Who is the most famous person in your phone contact?
One of them, Al Attles. When Al was coach of the Warriors, he was player coach. When they drafted my dad, Al became coach. So I knew Al from a very young age, obviously growing up. And even when after they traded my dad and my dad had retired and my dad passed away, to me, he's a great man because he didn't have to step down from playing. Maybe he wanted to, maybe he was getting old, but that was the opportunity that my dad got, obviously, when they drafted him. So I'm almost forever grateful to Al Attles. I would say that's probably the most famous person in my phone. Yeah.
What is one thing that you're most looking forward to for the next year, 2024?
As you know, my daughter got injured last year, and she's redshirting this year. So she's in rehab. She's doing great, but she travels with the team, but she has to sit there and watch, right? And inside it eats her up, right? I'm looking forward to her getting back on the court because once again, and I told her I'm her biggest fan, she's her biggest fan, and I will be there. I'm just looking forward to seeing her do what she can do. I mean, it's fun to watch your kid play, and they do the things you're like, oh, we worked on that. Oh, that's what we did in the summer. Sometimes they'll look at you in the game, and you're like, yeah. Because every now and then, Liv will point to me in the game, and I'm like, there you go. Oh, and one more thing. So I have grandkids maybe in New Zealand, and I think one likes basketball. And they're going to be here on the 12th. So I think we'll see if we can get Quinn out there shoot a little bit. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today, Eric. And I'm looking forward to have more conversations like this because it's very beneficial, not only for myself, obviously for the audience that are listening to the Kiwi Hooper podcast. So thank you again.
I want to give a shout out to Kiwi Hooper.